We want to make x the subject of the formula for this equation, or we want to solve for x. The additional challenge this time is that x is located within a bracket. So before we can make x the subject of the formula, or before we could rearrange or begin rearranging the equation, we need to expand this bracket. So one of the things that students miss with these questions is that -1 is understood at the beginning of that bracket. So in expanding this bracket, what we're going to do, we're going to multiply -1 by the first term in the brackets, which is 2, and then -1 times x, the second term in the bracket. So what we have, -1 multiplied by 2 will give us -2, which is this. And then -1 multiplied by positive x will give us -x. And now we can continue solving for x. Now the quickest way to solve for x, or to make x the subject of the formula, would be to swap sides with 5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to carry x across to the right hand side, and then I'm going to move the 5 to the left hand side. Now we're going to move x to the right. Minus x will become plus x. Yeah? And we're going to move 5 to the other side. Yeah? This is actually positive 5. The plus sign is understood. So when we move positive 5 to the other side, what we're going to get is -5. And now we can simplify. 10 minus 2 minus 5 would give us 3 is equal to x, or x is equal to 3 if you prefer that. Now in this question, again we want to make x the subject of the formula, which means that one by one we must move a, y, and b to the other side of the equation. So the first step is we recognize how many terms are present. This entire thing, this entire expression, is considered one term, and this is our second term. So there are 2 terms in this equation. When we have a term that is a fraction, the first thing we move is the denominator. We're going to move b, or divided by b, to the other side. When we do that, it becomes multiplied by b. Yeah? Now b is really b to the power of 1. And if we recall our rules of indices, b squared multiplied by b is really b to the power of 2 plus 1, yeah? Which will give us b to be cubed. The next term to be moved will be a. Yeah? Multiplied by a, when it is brought to the other side, will become divided by a. And finally, we are going to move down. Finally, we're going to move plus y to the other side. When we do that, plus y will become minus y. Right? Sign will change, and now we have our expression on the right hand side. Now, most exams will want you to simplify this, and that's what we're going to do next. Now y is really y divided by 1. So I'm going to find my common denominator by multiplying these 2 terms. A multiplied by 1 will give us a. And once we do that, we can now simply cross multiply. Yeah? So 1 multiplied by b cubed will be b cubed. A multiplied by -y will be -ay. And that is our final answer, simplified as much as possible. So let's look at this question. A multiplied by x plus y in brackets is equal to y multiplied by a plus z in brackets. Now, this question is completely constants or unknowns. When we expand this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that my constants are in alphabetical order. Okay? So when a multiplied by x, going to give me ax. A multiplied by y is ay. Is equal to y multiplied by a. Now I'm going to say this is ay. Okay? Multiplication is commutative. The order does not matter. But I want it in alphabetical order for a very specific reason. Okay? I'm going to make x the subject of this formula, which means that the first thing I'm going to move to the other side is the term that does not contain x. So this term, ay, does not contain x. So that's the first step. Any term not containing your subject must be moved. Plus ay must become minus ay when it is moved to the other side. And now we have ay minus ay, which is 0. Which gives me a multiplied by x is y times z. And then the final step, we move a to the other side, multiplied by a becomes divide by e. Okay? And that is our answer. Now, let's say we did not put terms in alphabetical order. So for example, when on the right hand side, when I multiply y times a, I get ye. Now there's nothing wrong with that. Right? There's no need to put things in alphabetical order, but it'll make your life a lot easier. Because if I did this, when I shift a plus y, well that was positive a plus y, when I shift this to the other side and becomes minus a y, the danger is I may not recognize that these two terms could be subtracted or cancelled out. Yeah? So that is my point, right? Y times a minus ay is still 0. The question is if you will recognize it. So this is why my advice is to place unknowns in alphabetical order. It'll make your life a lot easier. Now in this question, I'm going to simplify, expand the left hand side. Yeah? So we're going to get ax plus ay is equal to ay. Going to move ay to the other side. Yeah? So plus ay, when it is moved, becomes minus ay. Now, ay minus ay will give us 0. So a times x is equal to 0, which means x is 0 divided by a, which is still 0. Now one more time, I want to make x the subject of this formula. I have 3 terms, 1/3 x, or positive 1/3 x, positive 2b, and positive 3. So those are my 3 terms. Now, the first thing I want to do is any term not containing the subject, which is x, must be moved to the other side of the equation. So 3a is already on the other side of the equation. What I want to move is the 2b. This does not contain x. So I'm going to move that in the next step. When we move 2b to the other side, it'll become minus 2b. Yeah? And now we have 1/3 x is equal to 3a minus 2b. Now, 1/3 x, that is not in a form that I prefer in this instance. So instead of 1/3 x, I'm going to rewrite this as x divided by 3. It's the same thing. 1/3 x, 1/3 x can be written as x divided by 3. Doesn't matter. But in this case, it suits me more to have it written as x divided by 3. And the reason for that is that I could simply now say I'm going to move the divide by 3 to the other side. Now I'm going to move divide by 3 to the other side, and it will become multiply by 3. But it is 3 multiplied by everything that was previously on the right hand side. Yeah? You could expand that if you desire, or you can leave it in the factorized form.